everyone, and welcome to the September 1st, 2022 Cumberland County Commissioners Workshop meeting. If you would please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It gives me chills to hear a nice, large group reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. I do call our meeting to order at 9 a.m. and at this time, I open up the floor to public comment. Okay, hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on then to agenda item number 3. And this is a request for approval of our public hearing minutes from August 18th.
Make a motion to approve the public hearing meeting minutes of August 18th.
A second.
Good. Moved and seconded. No further questions. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. We'll move on then to agenda item number 4, and I'll call in Commissioner Eichelberger to address the proclamation.
Sure. We're pleased to have some special guests today as the Commissioners recognize Hunger Action Month here in Cumberland County. I'm going to invite some of our guests up here today. We have Eric Saunders, of course, with he's the Executive Director with New Hope Ministries. You have locations, according to this, in Lemoyne, Mechanicsburg, and Enola.
That's right.
Right. Fantastic. Bob Weed was the project chair. And I'm going to have you guys come up as we do the presentation. We're going to take some photos then too. And right here in Carlisle, we have Brian, is it Prater?
Yeah,
Prater. Okay, just making sure. Community Engagement Coordinator, and he's with the Central PA Bank. So, I'll just mention, everybody's going to get a chance to weigh in on this. Cumberland County, you know, we are a fairly prosperous community as they go, and you know, there are a lot of our citizens never give a second thought to the issue of hunger, but there are a lot of folks here who have been somewhat invisible, but not invisible to these folks, and they serve a very important role in our community here now, and especially in these days, great economic disruption and economic uncertainty, the need is greater than ever. So we really appreciate what you do, and the fact that there are dedicated individuals who are addressing a significant need right here in our own community that does exist and will continue to exist, but certainly we can try to ameliorate that as best as possible. One of the things is here trying to build some public recognition that this issue is important, and their participation, financially and otherwise, volunteerism, are really critical toward addressing this need. So we have the commissioners have passed a Hunger Action Month proclamation, and I'm going to present a copy to each of you. I'd like to read it so it's in the record here. It reads, whereas the Cumberland County Commissioners hereby recognize September as Hunger Action Month and encourage residents and businesses to partner with food banks by volunteering or donating to help their county residents who are in need. Whereas Pennsylvania, more than 1.1 million people are food insecure, and food insecurity rate of 2020 was 8.9%. Whereas in Cumberland County, 8% of our more than 259,000 residents are food insecure, and the average cost of a meal is $3.58 according to Feeding America. Whereas we thank the staff and volunteers of food banks who dedicate their time to eradicating hunger in our county. Without their dedication and passion, many would go hungry. Whereas over the years, food banks have expanded their operations to include mobile food banks, fresh produce for food insecure individuals, especially for children, seniors, veterans, and other residents who have fallen on hard times. And whereas we call upon our Cumberland County residents who are able to help their neighbors in need by donating even one can of food to one of our local food banks in the county. Therefore, the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims September 2022 as Hunger Action Month in Cumberland County, signed by the commissioners, attested by the COO and Chief Clerk. Gentlemen, I want to give each of you a copy of this, and just hopefully you'll display it and use it in your efforts to remind folks of the public need. And any of you who would like to speak to the issue, I'd invite you to do so now if you like.
Appreciate that. I'm so proud that the commissioners of the county, Cumberland County, has recognized the problem of hunger. I think the most important message to get out is that there is no need for anybody to go hungry. We have great services throughout Cumberland County. We have abundant supply. The community has been generous with us, and nobody should feel too proud to ask for help. That's what neighbors do. You may be the person giving today, you may be the person receiving tomorrow, but it would be our pleasure at New Hope, and I won't speak for Bob, but I know he'll say the same, that to be able to help somebody in their time of need, not only food, but housing and utilities and finding a job and any other basic crisis needs that you're facing, let us know how we can help. That's what New Hope Ministries is here for. God bless.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, commissioners. I echo Eric's sentiment. Humbled that the commissioners would recognize September as Hunger Action Month. We could not do what we do at Project Share without the generosity of the community. We're blessed to live in a community that willingly gives its time, talents, and treasures to helping the needs, helping support, alleviate the needs of others in the community. Thank you.
And I'll just say I'm from the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. We're more of the wholesale provider of charitable food. So great partners, wonderful partners. These are two of our really good partners here in Cumberland County that actually get the food out to the people who need it. So this Hunger Action Month starts today, September 1st. We're asking everybody to donate, participate, and advocate. One of those, all three of those, it kind of was touched on the proclamation. So I was really happy to hear it. Donate not only to the food bank, but to these great local partners. Participate. We all run on volunteers. At the food bank, we pack boxes with volunteers, but same here with our partners. You need lots of volunteers every day to make it work. And then advocate, really put the action in Hunger Action Month and make your voice heard. Again, two great partners when it comes to advocacy. Eric serves on our advocacy committee at the food bank, and Bob, we just this summer, Project Share, was on a meeting with Senator Casey to talk about some issues related to child hunger and extending some waivers from USDA. So really encourage the public to donate, participate, advocate, make your voice heard this Hunger Action Month. So thank you to the commissioners for recognizing us.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
good. I guess we're gonna be.
Yeah, we'll do pictures.
Get friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit. Okay.
He'll come back in football.
Thanks, just a little bit. There you go.
All right, I'm gonna take a couple, all right. Picture is good, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
You too.
Right.
Take care. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
We'll get that form filled out. All right. Okay, so we'll move back to our agenda, and agenda item number 5 is discussion of our needs-based budget, and we have Nikki McElwee and Lisa Ryder here to discuss.
Good morning, commissioners. So we're here today to present our needs-based budget, which includes children and youth and JPO. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the narrative, and then Lisa's going to fill you in on the fiscal side. This past fiscal year, we continued to deal with issues relating to the pandemic, as everybody else. We have started to see our numbers return to pre-pandemic levels. Our intakes have increased by 34% for referrals, and our in-home services have increased 30% for families we're working with. We have continued to grow our dependency on technology. We've utilized virtual meetings for court, family group conferences, family meetings, and quarterly service provider meetings. We've seen an increase in participation in all these areas, having a virtual option, which will continue in the future. Two challenge areas that children and youth continue to work on are our complex cases and our staffing turnover. We continue to see increases in cases that have complex issues. So they're open with our agency, but also mental health, intellectual developmental disabilities. These cases require specific services that are not always available. If a child cannot remain in their home, they are required to be in a specialized setting that has few children and specific one-on-one services. We have very few placement options with these stipulations. We are fortunate, though, Annie Straight and Sue Carbo and I meet regularly to try to address any systemic barriers. But it's still a lot of work that needs to be done regarding complex cases. Our other challenges are staff turnover, which is not isolated to Cumberland County or any working place right now, I believe. This past fiscal year, our turnover rate was 30%. I continue to do exit interviews with staff when they're leaving, and the common themes continue to be the stress of the job and the non-traditional work hours. On a positive note, the staff have reported when they are leaving, though, they felt very supported by their coworkers and their supervisor, and our morale has increased. So I'll continue to provide exit interviews. The other difference I saw is in the last time I was here presenting and we had high turnover, we were seeing that turnover, people were only there for a couple of months and leaving. We had very short. This year, the turnover were more long-term. So retirements, moving, we're moving on to school district positions is probably our biggest area that we lose a lot of staff to. Part of our needs base is projecting for the future. And so in this budget, we are requesting the addition of 6 staff, and they're all in the clerical unit. The agency currently has 14 different units, and we have 8 clerical. That's about 65 staff that 8 clerical work on. We would like to see a clerical support for each unit. And specifically what we're seeing is with the development in the technology, utilizing that more, the clerical staff can send out letters, print things, file things, and do the data entry. That is work that would come off the caseworkers and the supervisors. So we're asking for these positions in the state budget, and as usual, we won't bring them before the commissioners until they're approved through that process. So I'm going to let Lisa give you an overview of the fiscal side.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I basically can pull out my notes from last year and just say ditto.
Thank you.
It basically is the same as last year. We literally only spent $85,000 more than we spent the previous fiscal year. So we have not come out of the pandemic yet as far as placement numbers, purchased services and stuff like that. Nikki said the numbers are now starting to rise. I anticipate we will see that shortly in placement numbers and purchase service numbers. But I think we're still in a really good place as far as budget. The state last year approved us for everything we asked for. They did again this year. So when I do my implementation number, which is the second column, it's basically we're already approved for that. It is significantly higher than what we just ended. I don't think we'll hit that number, but it's there if we need it, which is a good thing. So typically before the pandemic, fiscal year to fiscal year is approximately, I see $1 million increase, like $1.25 million increase. I mean, we only saw an $85,000 increase. So it's going to come soon, but we're not there yet. So that's good. We won't be a number match for this fiscal year that just ended, obviously, and I don't anticipate the next 2 years being a number match. It takes a few years to catch up to that. And the only other, we didn't ask for any significant increases for the needs-based budget. The increases in there are typically just the salary increases, the few positions that we requested, and then also just putting in case there's any placement increases. We always put that in there just in case. And the only other change that I talked about last year that we would see a reduction in Title IV-E, and that's due to the Families First Services and Prevention Act that was effective 10/1 of 21. We can only bill Title IV-E for the first 14 days of placement in a congregate care. Last year, I wasn't aware, and I don't think any of the school people were aware. We found out at a PCYA meeting that it's only the placement maintenance that we can only bill for 14 days. So we can still continue to bill Title IV-E for the administrative part of the per diems. So that's a good thing. So we won't see as significant decreases I first anticipated. Plus, we don't have a lot of kids in congregate care that are eligible for Title IV-E. I typically see maybe 1 or 2 each quarter. So it's only a handful of kids that this is affected by. So that's a good thing too, considering we see a lot of, you notice with the congregate care providers, a lot of their per diems have increased significantly, and that's due to this Families First prevention to become compliant with that. So I don't see any significant decreases in Title IV-E, so I think we're in really good shape again for this year and hopefully next year, as long as we don't see any significant increases in placement. I think we can still handle it for the next couple of years. Is there any questions? It's an easy one again, because
Yes.
we're so under our certified amount.
I don't have any questions. Financially, it's like you said, pretty cut and dry. But Nikki, with we've been getting a lot of requests for more administrative people in your area. Are you fully utilizing any automated features to maybe cut that number down or not increase it as much?
I'm not sure what automated features, like we want to scan files.
Software that you could use for whatever.
So unfortunately, the software that we are required to use is a data entry system. The state makes us the system that we type our notes in, the system we put pictures in. That's all data entry. There's no more automated. Somebody has to type that in.
The state controls that.
We also utilize,
Yeah.
SpeakWrite, which caseworkers are able to use SpeakWrite, which is they're basically doing dictation.
Right.
And that helps.
We utilize that.
But the support staff still takes that information and puts it into caps for the caseworker.
Understood.
Yeah.
That ain't-
That's helped.
There is a significant amount of paperwork. I mean, it bogs them down.
That's-
Yeah.
my
And
point.
then we are really trying also the scanning of files, being more automated with the staff in the field so that they have access to the entire record
Right.
if they need it right away. So we try to come up with as much as possible that, can do. We have a team that's working with the caseworkers and what can we pull off of you to keep in the field working with families. So that's kind of where we are looking that the support staff would add. I would not anticipate I would walk in, even if it did get approved and just say, bam, we need 6. I think it would be a gradual
Yeah,
growth
right,
just
right.
to make sure that we have enough duties for them and to keep them busy. But it is a lot of paperwork. I am working with Into on the signature thing that's coming. We hope that's coming soon so that more, while they're in the field, parents can sign on a digital form and the form then can be sent to the clerical support. They can send it then to the doctor's office, start the record process. Otherwise, they're driving back, giving it to them, that type of stuff. We're looking at all ways, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's my only question.
From attending, your meetings, what I learned, and it was unbelievable to me, is that, as an instrumentality of the state, the volume of paperwork really and truly is state driven. And I would have been very impressed with the effort that has been put into by you, Nikki, to see how to manage that in the most efficient way possible. But I mean, sometimes there's just no efficient way by virtue of the system that is state driven.
Thank you. The state also requires a lot of data.
Yes.
It takes a lot to collect data. I know my requirements on the fiscal reporting have tremendously increased, and to gather all that data, it's helpful when you have support staff that actually can gather it for you and provide it instead of having to do it.
Any other questions for Nikki or Lisa?
Oh, good, but I'll just add my 2 cents. I think it is noteworthy that, while we have added to the financial bottom line to get you where you are, that it's commendable that you've also looked at processes, that you've made the organizational structural changes, to make those efficiencies. I think a lot of it really does boil down to leadership. They really addressed a range of issues here at the time. It's noteworthy. So it's not just a matter of dollars. Dollars are important, but it's all the other things that come with that too. And that's laudable.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I will just note that Nikki and I, when we attended the county administrators conference back in early June, we attended one of the sessions with Betsy. Betsy finds all sorts of technological tools that can make your life easier and make you more productive at work. And I know for a fact that Nikki has implemented a great number of those and has shared those with her management team as well. So
Thank you.
all right, well, if we don't have any other questions, then we'll move on to agenda item number 6, which is contracts and grant. And section 1 is existing contracts, contract extensions or addenda. with no additional cost or increase to the county. There are contracts for CASA, Children and Youth Services, Drug and Alcohol, Juvenile Probation, and MHIDP. Commissioners, do you have any questions about any of the Section 1 contracts? Okay, we'll move on to Section 2, and we'll start. I'll call on Lisa Ryder. She's actually presenting for Jamie, who is unable to be here, to discuss the Children and Youth contracts.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have 5 contracts on the agenda today for fiscal year 22-23. 2 of them are community-based residential services used by children, youth, and JPO. The first one being Outside In. They requested an 8.79% increase in one of their programs. Basically, juvenile probation office uses them and maybe have 1 or 2 kids there. If that throughout a fiscal year, it's not used very heavily. Delphi Village, they have a range of increases in their community-based residential from like 4.6 to 11.21%. It's also used by both CNY and JPO. And we typically only have a handful of kids there too, if they're there. I think we have 2 or 3 kids there now. They also have a foster care program that had a minimal increase request. The other 3 programs are foster care programs that are used by the Children and Youth Services, and the university, or the Children's Home of Pittsburgh, they're asking for 6 and 7% in their foster care programs increases. They are still very low in their per diem, so it's not like it's a huge increase, and we don't have any kids there currently. We don't use them very heavily. And then the other 2 are minimal, 2 and 50 cents. And they their per diems also are very low compared to some of the other foster care providers. And we maybe have 5 or 6 kids in those providers. These programs also, I know when Jamie brings them, we make sure we have sufficient justification from the providers, and she has done any rate negotiations before they even make it to the agenda. So if they make it on the agenda, we've done our due diligence and try to bring down per diems and make sure they have sufficient justification to request increases. Thank you.
Any questions for Lisa? And I would just commend Lisa. We talked at like 8:45 about what to do about the contracts, and everything that you heard her just say, she put together in between 8:45 and 9 o'clock. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I originally asked to pull it and put it on the next one because I was preparing for budget. And then Stacy's like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" I was like, "That's fine. I'll talk about it."
Yeah. Thank
Well
you. I do
done,
appreciate
well
it.
done.
Yeah, very well
Yeah.
done.
Thank you.
Them an opportunity to exit the building. Okay, so we'll move on then to the district attorney, the forensics. And I'm sorry, we have Kristen, and I'm going to probably butcher your name, Kristen. Is it McGow?
It's McGuff.
Okay, I apologize.
No
I should
problem.
have to make sure I had the right pronunciation. But you're actually here to talk about a contract with Peak Scientific. Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, commissioners. The Forensic Investigation Division is asking for your approval for a maintenance agreement with Peak Scientific. It would essentially, the agreement is for annual service of our gas generators. And if any of them would break down, they'll come and fix them for us within a 48 to 72 hour time frame.
Any questions for Kristen? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on then. We have John Mays here with us to discuss the PA Department of Transportation grant.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. This is the PTS grant. We've had it for a number of years, police traffic safety. It's where we manage money that's dispersed to the local municipal departments in the areas of DUI, aggressive driving. They added pedestrian safety a little while ago. They've gone from a 2-year grant down to a 1-year grant, $135,000. We jumped through all the hoops. They've approved us, and we're just asking that you guys let us accept that money.
Any questions? All right, thank you. All right, next up we have Brian Simon from Drug and Alcohol to discuss several contracts. Brian?
Good morning, commissioners. The contract with Capital Area Intermediate Unit is for the commission to provide student assistance services at Trinity High School. Trinity was interested in having our student assistants go in and provide some drug and alcohol services in their high school. And the intermediate unit had some funding available, and so the contract is for us to go to Trinity and do those services. Mazzetti and Sullivan and ARS of Pennsylvania, those increases are part of our general outpatient provider increases that we've come before you for some of our other contracts. And then the Eagleville Hospital, they're asking for 10% increases on their 3.5, their 3.5 enhanced, and their 3.7 withdrawal management. According to their fiscal officer, those increases are generally salary, but particularly for nursing staff. They've had to increase quite significantly for nursing staff. And then we would also like to add the 3.7 intensive and the 3.7 intensive enhanced at the rates listed. And those are rather high, and our staff would just be using those for individuals who not only have a drug and alcohol issue, but also have like a physical health issue, but they don't quite need to be in a hospital setting. So that would be what those would be for. Any questions?
Thanks, Ryan. Okay, next up, we have two contracts for ERP, and Mark is actually here with us to discuss. Mark?
Good morning, commissioners. I have follow-up from the finance presentation a couple of weeks ago, or I think it was last week. I have a Kronos contract to do an upgrade from the Dimensions or to the Dimension software from the Workforce Central. It's a $275,000, $520 contract, excuse me, over a 5-year period. If you recall from the finance presentation, there was a $12,000 savings over the course of those 5 years. Excuse me. And the second contract I have for you is for RPI Consulting, and this is in preparation for our pending upgrade to from Lawson to Infor Cloud Suite. It's a $60,000 presentation contract, excuse me, and the objective is to train our staff, do a discovery and analysis of our systems and our processes, and provide a roadmap for the migration from Lawson to Cloud Suite. And then the consultant will provide both an estimate of time and work effort to do the upgrade. And so that's a $60,000 price to do that pre-assessment.
Any questions for Mark?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Kirk Stoner for Liquid Fuels Finance.
Sure. Good morning, commissioners. Our first agenda item is a change order for the Hertzler Bridge construction in the amount of $99,635. This is to upgrade some railing on the bridge to match some of the historical requirements for the project. As you may recall, when we completed the Wolf Bridge project, we demolished that bridge. PennDOT had provided us an additional $100,000 of federal funds to put into this project to make sure that it matches historical requirements and meets their historical standards. So really, we kind of have an offset here of the money that they've provided from the Wolf Bridge project for this upgrade of the railing to match their historical requirements for the bridge.
Any questions on the first? All right.
Okay, second item is Lower Frankfort Township. This is our final contract in our phase 2 local bridge program that we're funding with our $5 registration fee. So with this one, we have all three of those. There's still one other project that we're potentially looking at with Cook Township. There's some other factors involved in that one, but these were the first 3 contracts. This one, Silver Spring Township and South Middle went out, but with the signature of this one, all municipalities have agreed to work with us and the terms of that agreement. So I really think it speaks to the municipal interest in the program as quickly as these agreements were turned around, because there's a local match here. So we're not looking, municipalities aren't getting a free lunch out of this. There's a local match for this, which they enthusiastically supported and signed off on these agreements.
Any questions for Kirk?
Great.
All right, thanks for presenting, Kirk. All right, next we have Sue Carbaugh presenting MHIDD contracts. Hi, Sue.
Morning. How is everyone? Okay, so the first contract we have are mental health for fiscal year 21-22, which are amendments. We have one for the Perry County Prison, which is an increase of $707 due to additional services. The second one is York County Transportation Authority doing business as Rapid Transit. It is also an amendment, an increase of $1,086 for additional services. Then the next group of contracts are mental health as well for this fiscal year 22-23. The first one is Aurora Social Rehabilitation Services. It's a renewal. It's an increase of $11,644, bringing their contract to $142,242. Second one is Living Unlimited. It's a renewal, an increase of $1,788. The contract total will be $8,299. We have the Perry County Prison. It's a renewal increase of $1,529 for their contract total of $28,200. Then we have Penn State Health Holy Spirit Medical Center. It's a renewal. It's an increase of $639,077, bringing their contract total to $2,891,756. We have the Redevelopment Authority for the County of Cumberland. Renewal increase of $5,720. Their contract total will be $116,437. Riverside Associates, it's a renewal increase of $2,360. Their contract total will be $5,000. Then we have Keystone Service Systems. It's a renewal. It's an increase of $252,080, bringing their contract total to $991,081. NHS Stevens Center is a renewal, an increase of $103,550. Their contract total will be $3,082,491. And then we have York County Transportation Authority doing business as Rapid Transit. It's a renewal. It's an increase of $404 for a contract total of $90,000. The last three contracts then are for IDD. They are for this current fiscal year 22-23. We have Harrisburg Home Health Holdings doing business as Angels on Call. It's a renewal, an increase of $13,744. Their contract total will be $17,106. Kencrest Services, it's a renewal. It's an increase of $2,074. Contract total will be $173,155. And we have the Devereaux Foundation. It's a renewal. It's an increase of $33,237. Their contract total will be $144,705. Any questions?
That was well done. It's a heavy lift.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Have a good day.
You too. Have a good day.
Okay, last but not least, we have recycling and waste, and Justin is joining us without a background. I will point out. That's okay. That's all right. We were looking forward to that, but that's okay. You're here to talk about the last of the contracts to come through for the authorities.
Correct. So at the last workshop, I covered 10 disposal capacity agreements. This is our 11th and final one. It is with York County Solid Waste Authority. They proposed their own version of an agreement, which is a little bit different, slightly different than the one that we had put together. Jen Hip and I had multiple back and forths with them to get it into a condition where we were happy with it. And because of that, we missed getting this onto the last workshop agenda. So I'm bringing it to you, actually requesting action today because it actually has a start date of September 1st. At the end of the day, they are committing to offering us 2,750 tons per year disposal capacity at their incinerator that they run there in York.
Any questions for Justin? And as he noted, this is action requested today.
Okay, well, we've heard the best of it. So do we have a motion for
So I will move to approve the recycling and waste contract with York County Solid Waste and Refuse Authority.
second? Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes contracts and grants. So then we'll move on then to agenda item number 7. And I'll call on Commissioner Eichelberger to discuss the appointment recommendations for the Cumberland Area Economic Development Corporation. Commissioner.
Okay, just in summary, I think we've covered some of this before. Everybody should have received the credentials for the names of the 3 folks who are being proposed by the executive committee for appointment to the board. They'll be filling seats that are going to be vacated soon, and 1 seat that's been vacant for a while. And there'll be a second round of nominees coming forward before the end of the year for appointment early next year. I think we have a really good batch of folks here. We're putting a lot of emphasis on bringing some very capable people on the board. CADIC will build the future of the organization as we're changing it. So this would be action item for Monday, and so all of these are for the 3-year term. For a 3-year term that would be effective beginning of 6th, expiring September 5 of 2025.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move on then to agenda item number 8, which is Commissioner Liaison Reports, and I'll call first on Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, so I'm going to move some things around since Judd gave you exactly what he gave me to report out on. So, but all of that is it's good stuff. The one thing I didn't report on 2 weeks ago because of time commitment was that the latest recycling event, household hazardous event, again, it was well received. 283 customers, 32,153 total pounds of materials collected. Of that 32,153, 23,138 again was paint. It's a huge market for the reclamation of paint. And the other thing Justin passed on to me was that we had 3 comments. We always solicit comments, I'm sorry, the 3 comments, we have received positive comments. The 3 comments he's referring to actually refer to the 30-day comment period on the waste management plan, which has been submitted to the state, and the state invoked the 30-day extension. As he mentioned, in part of what he was saying earlier was the state is in the midst of the new round of the 902 grants, which is a capital improvement grant. That's how we pay for our recycling, yard waste recycling equipment. So we think that's related to that, but it's possible they may have some questions on the plan itself. Most of it seems fairly routine, but we did not put it on for approval, put on the agenda for approval in the event that they do come back with substantive questions on it. It's not just time. So we'll be hearing more about that once the Commonwealth, once DEP comes back with their feedback, if there is any. So let's see here, discuss the York County contract, and slight delay with that because they did not accept the model contract provided. So that's pretty much it for recycling. Let's see The other 10 agreements are already covered. On the MH side, very minimal update at this point. They continue just kind of grinding through their day-to-day. Just a reminder, September, of course, is Suicide Prevention Month. You begin seeing, if you haven't already, you can see public awareness materials on that. And as a reminder, Thursday the 8th is when the screening of the My Ascension film, the story of one individual, will be screened at the West Shore Theater. And there's, I believe we're all registered, all three of us are registered to be there. But members of the public, go to the website for EMH IDD, and there's information there on how to register through Everbright. On Katie, just briefly, the 4 focus groups for the build out of the strategic plan objectives those meetings are completed. The consultant is compiling all of the findings into a comprehensive document that goes to the executive committee. Executive committee's meeting next week. I believe we're going to be tackling those documents, assuming they're complete at that point, and then there'll be some decisions made by executive committee on what role they're going to have, what gets delegated to the policy planning committee for refinement and adoption, and then implementation as we go. The search for workforce development director continues as the build out of that plan continues as well. So they're busy folks, a lot going on there. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bocci.
Well, good morning, Cumberland County. I will remind everyone to please use the Cumberland County Library System. I know that there's been a lot of effort by the system to coordinate with our school districts, and that is a great thing. The LEPC Sarah Summit will be held at the Army Heritage Center on October 13th. This year's theme is Let's Talk Safety, and you can go to the LEPC website and register for that event as well as sponsor it if you want to, but it is a free event and you will get a free lunch. I want to go over the homeless numbers in Cumberland County. So I attended the a meeting with Marine Mar Nations, and there are 182 homeless households in the county. This was as of Tuesday morning. This is approximately 291 people. 44 of those households have children under the age of 18. 42 are fleeing domestic violence. 49 of those households are in shelter. 86 are in unsheltered situations. 13 are veterans. 15 are chronic homeless people. And 87 households are headed by a person with a disability. So those are pretty haunting numbers for Cumberland County. And finally, I wanted to make my colleagues aware that Maureen Mar Nations, also at Community Partners for Change, wanted me to pass on to both of you and to Stacy as well, and to Claudia Garner in Public Safety and the Honor Guard, how grateful she was for the county's support and for the flag ordinance at the funeral for Christine Ramond. Community Partners for Change knew Christine very well, miss her terribly, well aware of all of the wonderful things she did, not only in the prison, but also in the community, and really wanted me to pass along the compliments. So that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner DeFilippo.
Thanks, Stacy. Conservation District, we met the evening of August 23rd. Some highlights. I had previously mentioned that we have a drone pilot program for cover crop seeding. 2 farms have been selected, both in the Newville area. Appears to be a lot of interest coming as well. So more seeding of that nature will be done in 2023. The Conservation District applied for $70,000 in grant money to cover salary and expenses for an employee regarding activities involved with the Chesapeake Bay program. The district approved the Conservation Excellence Grant to Don McKeon for runoff improvements for his animal operation. The Conservation District 2023 budget was approved, and 2 new nutrient management plans are approved for Arlen Wadle and Arlen Weaver. Wadle's farm is located in Southampton Township, consists of 336 acres. And Mr. Beaver's farm is located in North Newton Township and consists of 448 acres. The Housing Redevelopment Authority met on August 24th. As you may recall, Chip Fenton resigned as chairman of the Housing Authority a couple of months ago. Mark Bishop is now the new chairman. And Chip Fenton was also the vice chairman of the Redevelopment Authority. And Mark will assume there has been given the vice chairmanship as well. The early rental assistance program is operating again. A second landlord outreach event is scheduled for November to take place in the evenings at Isaac's in Ross Manor. The small landlord revolving loan program will be starting this month. And this program will provide low interest financing to landlords who have no more than 10 units. And the money can be used to renovate and repair those units if those units are provided for Section 8 program individuals or low income folks. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, that takes us to agenda item number 9, which is my time to report that we had an executive session on August 31, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. regarding personnel. Moving on then, I'll ask if there is any other business to come before the board today. Hearing none, seeing none, we are adjourned.
Thank you.